So the next point that really hit me when I was reading your chapter was vulnerability. And you use the analogy of a jewel, and my team at Rowan will laugh at that because we have an inside sort of instance that happened relating to that. And so it hit home for me, but can you talk a little bit about what you mean for vulnerability in the classroom?
Absolutely, for sure. And Eric, I have to say that the approach that I take isn't for everybody, and that's
Sure.
fine. Everyone has their own style, their own approach that they're comfortable with, that works for them, and that works for the students, and that is fine. The way that I approach this is I like to take the opportunity to engage with the students in a lot of different ways, both in terms of their input in the class before and also during the class. So during classes, I was teaching an in-person class one time. It was 400 students, and we were talking about how new products come on the market and make old products obsolete or change the market. And someone in the back yells, "Jewels and vapes," and I have to say I'm not up on current culture, and I said, "Jewels and vapes."
Either.
I didn't understand what they were saying, and I said, "Tell me about jewels and vapes. What is this? What's a jewel and vape?" And they all laughed because I'm clueless. And I said, "Does anyone have an example of this?" And so someone in the way back raises their hand and says, "I have a jewel." So I walk back, and this is like a 400 student tiered classroom. So I walk back to the back and go up to the person. I say, "How does it work?" And they take a puff on it and then blow out a puff of smoke, and everybody laughs. And I sort of smell the smoke, and it didn't smell like anything. I said, "Well, it doesn't smell like anything." And then I asked the class, "Well, is it still bad for you?" And they all cracked up laughing. But it was a good example of how the students know things that can help inform our classroom conversations that I don't know. And I like to ask them that. And, it could have gone horribly wrong, but, it involved them in the process and they got to laugh and it was fun. Little did I know, about a week later, someone came to me at the end of the class and said, "Hey, Jeff, you remember when you walked back to the back of the classroom and saw the, jewels and vapes, and you asked the class if it was still bad for you?" And everybody laughed. Yeah, it's got over 200,000 hits on Instagram. And I'm glad I didn't do something more embarrassing or say something really embarrassing. But yeah, so I emailed my department and say, just so you know, I'm on Instagram with
Trending.
Yeah, I didn't inhale. But I'm in the back of the classroom on Instagram with 200,000 hits, learning about jewels and vapes with my class. So just want to let you know that that's out there. So yeah, I do put myself in a position where I share my personal insights to the degree that I have them. I talk about my family and how that's influenced my sort of career trajectory and what I do at home, and I ask them about theirs. And so to the degree that I ask them to share about themselves, I do the same thing. I reciprocate, and that is risky. Does make me vulnerable. In some cases, they feel comfortable sharing things that are personal to them, and I feel comfortable sharing things that are personal to me. And that's not a position that some people would feel comfortable with, but for me it works, and for me it provides me the opportunity to connect and engage with the students more effectively. And I like the model, and again, it works for me. It would not work for everybody, but I do like to be vulnerable because I am someone who I want them to talk with and share with, and therefore I do the same for them.
Well, I'll tell you, I agree 100%. I think first and foremost, when I first started teaching, I did the same thing. I'm like, oh, I want to find the best thing and I'm just going to mimic it. And it's like, I can't pull off what some people can pull off.
Sure.
Right. I have to, find my own style, my own take on it. And I'm good at some things and I'm not good at others.
You've got to find something that works for you. That's, I think, the main message here. Do something that works for you. And there is not a one size fits all approach. And be comfortable saying, I'm going to try something. If it doesn't work, that's okay, because I'm going to do something entrepreneurial. Be an academic entrepreneur and try something. If it works, great. If it doesn't, that's fine. You can pivot and you can iterate multiple times. That's the fun thing about being a professor. You teach this class multiple times, or you teach in multiple different settings, and each time it might be different.
No, absolutely. Well, I want to make sure that we take a minute, because what you guys are doing at NC State is just so cool. And I had the chance to visit you earlier this year, right before it's my last trip before the pandemic sort of hit. And it's really, really interesting, this clinic model. Do you want to just share a little bit about that?
Sure, of course. It was lovely having you all here. So the long and the short of it is that we have adopted a clinical model of teaching and research here at NC State, where we embed the students in the local ecosystem. We engage them with local entrepreneurs on projects that are of mutual interest. That in turn helps the businesses in the local ecosystem execute more effectively, and helps the students execute more effectively and more efficiently. And sometimes these engagements turn into jobs or to referrals. And so we're able to help both the local entrepreneurs in the ecosystem and the students get from where they are now to where they want to be more effectively and more efficiently. This helps with our teaching because it's one thing to just be in the classroom, but it's another thing to actually get out into the field and go downtown Raleigh to the In-State Entrepreneurship Clinic in HQ Raleigh, a local co-working space, and have them walk into a building where there are 200 entrepreneurs who are members there, and they become part of that ecosystem. That's very different than being in the classroom, and we try to do both across our curriculum. We have classes where they are in the classroom. We have classes where they're in the classroom and they're downtown Raleigh, and we have classes where they're just in downtown Raleigh. So this clinical model of teaching and research enables the students to do things that they wouldn't ordinarily do. It also helps us as researchers, and I'm primarily a researcher, engage with the students, and through the students get the perspective of the entrepreneurs in regular surveys that are conducted in person when the students are meeting with the actual entrepreneurs in the community when it's safe to do so, either in person or virtually. So we're able to do teaching and research from a perspective of embedding the students, engaging them, and enabling them to execute in the local ecosystem. And it's created a fun circular pattern where the students come through the program, and some, not all, but some of them become entrepreneurs, and they come do projects with us. And it's been a very useful way for us to conceptualize the things that we do here and why we're different than some other places. And again, it works for us. It wouldn't work for everyone at all universities, but this particular model, we found it very useful for what we're doing here and the type of students who come through our programs.
Oh, that's awesome. So I want to thank you for joining us today and for being sort of our guinea pig as we kick off this series and get ready to launch Volume 4 of USASB's Annals of Entrepreneurship, Education, and Pedagogy. If you want to know more about the clinic model and what NC State is doing, all USASB members have access to Volume 3 through the member portal right now, and you can read about their model program in there. And if you want to know more about Jeff's chapter and Jeff's entry and what we were talking about today, January 2021, the volume is available. We're excited to be launching it. In addition to Jeff, we've got 4 other master educators who've shared their perspectives, and we'll be continuing to interview and talk with them as we move forward. So thanks so much for joining us, Jeff.
Thanks so much for your time. It was my pleasure, Eric.